Imagine being $30,000 in debt, working a job you hate, and feeling hopeless about changing your life. That was John's reality, an ordinary young man who found an unlikely solution in a forgotten book on a shelf. What seemed like just another desperate attempt led him on a transformative journey, filled with challenges, deep lessons, and a twist you won't believe. Want to know how he turned his life around? Stay until the end. Don't forget to like, subscribe to the channel, and get ready for a story that could change the way you see the world. I still remember that cold December morning when I received the last notification from the bank. My name was about to be added to the delinquent list, and the weight of the $30,000 in debt felt like it was crushing my chest. At 23, I had become exactly what I swore I would never be, just another young person in debt, working a job I hated. "John, I need you in the kitchen now," shouted my supervisor Mike, while I tried to discreetly check the banking app during my shift at the fast food place. The negative balance of minus $287.45 blinked on the screen like a cruel reminder of my reality. "I'm on my way," I replied, shoving my phone into the pocket of my greasy uniform. As I prepared another batch of fries, I thought about how I had gotten here. My dreams of starting an innovative startup now seemed like a cruel joke. "Hey, did you see that another collection letter arrived?" commented Sarah, my roommate, when I got home after my double shift. "I was thinking, maybe you should consider declaring bankruptcy." I sat on the worn-out couch in our small living room, running my hands over my tired face. "I can't do that. Have you thought about the impact it would have on my future? Besides, most of it is student loans. There's no escaping those." The phone rang for the 5th time that day, another collector. I let it go to voicemail, as always. The automated message echoed through the room. "Mr. John Miller, we are trying to reach you regarding your debt. Do you know what's more ironic?" I said to Sarah, as I hung up the phone. "I used to be that guy who had everything planned. College, career, the complete package of the American dream. Now I can barely sleep thinking about how I'm going to pay next month's rent." That night, lying in bed, staring at the peeling ceiling, I grabbed my old planning notebook. The pages were filled with notes about the startup I wanted to create, places I intended to visit, goals that seemed so achievable a few years ago. Maybe I should just accept that this is my life now, I murmured to myself, as the sound of the rain began to intensify outside. The sound of the drops hitting the cracked window of my room seemed synchronized with the beats of my disheartened heart. The next day, I decided to take a walk to clear my head. I walked into a small bookstore, one of those that still withstand the test of time. That's when I saw that book with a golden cover, partially hidden among other volumes. "The Secret to Attracting Wealth." The title softly shone under the store's fluorescent lights. I had exactly $15.73 left on my credit card, enough to make this last purchase before hitting the limit. Little did I know that this small investment would completely change the course of my story. Back in my apartment, I settled into the old armchair by the window and began to leaf through the book. The first pages talked about how our thoughts create our reality. I confess my first instinct was to laugh. "Law of attraction? Seriously?" I said aloud as Sarah walked by the room. She stopped, curious, and asked what I was reading. "Apparently, if I think about money enough, it will magically appear in my account," I replied sarcastically. "As if it were that easy." Sarah sat on the arm of the chair. "Well, what you've been doing clearly isn't working. What's the harm in trying something different?" Her words hit me unexpectedly. She was right. What did I have to lose? I kept reading, now with more attention. The book suggested starting by writing down specific goals and visualizing them every day. I grabbed a piece of paper and a pen, feeling a bit silly. Goal: pay off $30,000 in debt by December 2024. Additional goal: have $100,000 in my savings account. I looked at those numbers and felt a mix of anxiety and hope. This is ridiculous, I thought to myself. How am I going to achieve this earning $12 an hour? But something inside me urged me to continue. Every morning before work, I read that goal aloud. At first, I felt like a complete idiot talking to myself in the mirror. I, John Miller, am financially free and prosperous. Money flows into my life in unexpected and positive ways. A week passed, and nothing changed. Bills kept coming, and the collectors wouldn't stop calling. But I began to notice small changes in how I thought about money. "Hey, Mike," I called my supervisor one day. "Is there any chance I can work overtime on weekends?" "Since when do you want to work more?" he asked, surprised. "Since I decided that my current situation is temporary," I replied, with a confidence I didn't even know I had. At night, before bed, I started visualizing what my life would be like without debt. I imagined opening my banking app and seeing a positive balance. I saw myself sleeping without worries, planning trips, helping others. "You seem different," Sarah commented one night. "I can't explain it, but you seem more focused." "Maybe I am," I replied as I stuck a post-it with my goals on the bedroom wall. "You know they say that when you change your thoughts, you change your life?" she completed, smiling. "Exactly. And for the first time in a long time, I'm starting to believe it." The monthly dinner with my family has always been a tradition, but that particular Sunday, I was especially eager to share my new discoveries. Sitting at the table in my parents' house, between bites of pasta, I decided to open my heart. "So guys, I started studying manifestation and the law of attraction," I said, trying to sound casual. The silence that followed was broken by my sister Emma's laughter. "Oh no! You fell for that self-help story?" she asked between giggles. "John, please tell me you're not spending money on that new age nonsense." I felt my face heat up. "It's not nonsense, Emma. It's about changing your mindset and creating opportunities." "Opportunities?" she interrupted. "The universe isn't going to pay your bills, little brother. You know what pays the bills? Hard work, overtime, a second job. That's real life." My mom, always trying to smooth things over, chimed in, "Emma, let your brother speak." But the damage was already done. My sister's words echoed in my head the whole way home. The next day, looking at my goal notes, doubt began to gnaw at my determination. What if she's right? I murmured to myself as I checked my negative bank balance once again. Maybe I'm wasting my time with these visualizations. Sarah found me sitting on the floor of my room, surrounded by bills and bank statements. "Tough night?" she asked, leaning against the doorframe. "I think I'm fooling myself," I confessed. "How can I believe I'm going to manifest abundance when I can barely pay the minimum on my credit card?" She sat down beside me, picking up one of the papers with my notes. "You know what I think? You've only been trying for 3 weeks. Rome wasn't built in a day. But what if? What if it works?" She interrupted me. "What if, for the first time, you're on the right track?" That night, I reread a specific chapter of the book, Action Leverages Attraction. Without movement, there are no results. It was like a slap in the face. I had been expecting the universe to do all the work when I actually needed to create movement. I grabbed my notebook and started researching ways to generate extra income. Delivery apps, freelance work, anything I could do in my spare time. My sister's voice still echoed in my mind, but now it had a different effect. Instead of discouraging me, it gave me more strength to prove her wrong. "I'm going to show that it's possible," I said to my reflection in the mirror. "No matter how long it takes." I was making another food delivery when a podcast caught my attention. The calm, assertive voice of the host said, "Have you heard of the 369 method?" I parked my bike in front of the next restaurant and turned up the volume. The expert explained how to write a specific goal 3 times in the morning, 6 times in the afternoon, and 9 times before bed, for 33 consecutive days. Consistency is key, she emphasized. It's not about magic. It's about programming your brain to recognize opportunities. That night, I sat at the kitchen table with a new notebook. Sarah watched me as she prepared her tea. "What are you doing now?" she asked, curious as she saw me writing repeatedly. "It's a new technique. I need to write 9 times. I earn $5,000 a month with ease and gratitude," I explained, focused on the task. "Another one of your manifestations?" she asked, but without the mocking tone I expected. "Yes, but this time it's different. It's more structured." I showed her my notes from the podcast. The expert explained that our brains need repetition to create new neural patterns. The next morning, I woke up 30 minutes earlier. I sat on the edge of the bed and wrote my goal 3 times, feeling each word. During lunch, between deliveries, I stopped at a park and wrote it 6 more times. "How's your experiment going?" asked Mike, my supervisor, seeing me always with the notebook. "You know what? It's been interesting. I've started to notice opportunities that I used to overlook," I replied, showing him a spreadsheet where I noted my extra earnings. "Interesting. By the way, we need a coordinator for the night shift. It pays $3 more an hour. That would be a good start, right?" I felt a chill. It was the first time a real opportunity had come up since I started practicing the method. At home, before bed, I completed the final 9 writings of the day. But it wasn't just writing, I visualized every detail. The amount on my paycheck, the feeling of seeing my bank account grow, the relief of paying the bills on time. "Do you really believe this is going to work?" Sarah asked one night, finding me absorbed in my notes. I looked at her thoughtful. "You know what? For the first time, I'm not just believing. I'm making it happen. Every word I write is a brick in my new future." And so, day after day, page after page, I was building something bigger than a simple habit. I was programming my brain for success. The first sign appeared on a Saturday afternoon. I was reviewing my spending spreadsheets when I realized, for the first time in 2 years, I had $200 left at the end of the month. "Sarah! Sarah!" I shouted, running into the living room. "Look at this." She took her eyes off her laptop, adjusting her glasses to see the screen of my phone. "Wow, a positive balance? That's new. And it's not just that," I continued, opening another spreadsheet. "My deliveries have increased by 40% since I started coordinating the night shift. I'm making an average of $800 more a month." Sarah smiled, closing her laptop. "You know what's more impressive? Your energy. You're different." It was true. It wasn't just about money. I was sleeping better, waking up more energized, even my posture had changed. At work, people started to notice. "Miller," Mike called on a Thursday. "That corporate client you handled last week? He specifically requested that you coordinate his orders from now on. It's 50 meals a day." I felt my heart race. "Seriously? That means..." "Yes, an extra 5% commission on each order," Mike finished, smiling. That night, while doing my usual notes, I added a new goal. "I naturally attract loyal clients and lucrative opportunities." The small victories began to pile up. One client started tipping generously on a regular basis. I managed to renegotiate 2 debts with a 40% discount. I found a free online course in financial management. "Remember when you laughed at the law of attraction?" Sarah asked during our Sunday breakfast. "How could I forget? I was the biggest skeptic," I replied, mentally calculating how much I had manifested by then. "And now I understand that it's not about waiting for miracles. It's about changing the way you think and act. The results are a consequence." The most surreal moment was when Emma, my skeptical sister, called me asking for tips. "So, that manifestation thing," she started hesitantly. "How exactly does it work?" I smiled, remembering her laughter a few months ago. Do you really want to know, or are you just curious? I want to know. I've seen your change. It's not a coincidence. I sat on the porch with a cup of coffee, watching the sunset as I explained to her about the 369 method, about consistency, about action aligned with intention. The secret, I concluded, is not just to visualize. It's to become the person who deserves to receive what you're asking for. That night, before going to bed, I looked at my manifestation notebook. The pages were full, not just of numbers and goals, but of small victories, of real changes. Each achievement was proof that the impossible was beginning to become possible. The email notification came on an ordinary Tuesday. Dear John Miller, we would like to schedule a meeting to discuss your franchise proposal. 5 months earlier, I had filled out an interest form to open a franchise of the delivery app. At the time, it seemed like a distant dream. I needed $50,000 for the initial investment. Sarah, I called, my hands shaking. Remember that email I sent? They replied. She rushed to my desk, equally excited. And now? No. I took a deep breath. I'm going to show my business plan. For weeks, I had studied every detail of the delivery market, created spreadsheets, analyzed the competition. It wasn't just manifestation, it was preparation meeting opportunity. In the online meeting, the expansion director surprised me. Miller, your background as a coordinator is impressive. And your customer satisfaction numbers are the best in the region. Thank you, sir. I've learned a lot these past months. But, he interrupted, you still need the initial capital. At that moment, I felt an inexplicable calm. Actually, sir, I have a proposal. I presented my idea, to use my experience to train new delivery drivers, create a quality management system, and expand to businesses. The initial investment could be reduced in exchange for aggressive growth targets. Silence on the call. Miller, he finally said. In 15 years with the company, I've never seen a proposal like this. I'll need 48 hours. Those were the 2 longest days of my life. I continued my deliveries, my notes, my routine. But something had changed. I was no longer asking the universe. I was proposing a partnership. The phone rang on Thursday. Miller? This is Charles from legal. We've prepared a different contract. Instead of $50,000, you put in $15,000 and your experience. The company will cover the rest in exchange for 30% of the profits in the first year. I froze. The amount was still high, but I just checked your account. Charles continued. Your accumulated commissions from the last 5 months, plus performance bonuses, total $13,200. With another $1,800 you can start. I looked at my manifestation notebook. On the first page, months ago, I had written, I am a successful entrepreneur in the delivery business. I accept. I replied without hesitation. That night, Sarah prepared a special dinner. I knew you could do it, she said, raising her glass. No, I corrected. We did it. Your faith in me made all the difference. I looked out the window at the illuminated city. Somewhere out there, people were placing orders, delivery drivers were racing against time, and I was about to be part of something bigger. The most powerful manifestation hadn't been the money, it had been becoming someone capable of achieving. Today, sitting in my franchise office, I flipped through my old manifestation notebook. Among the worn pages, I find not just financial goals, but the map of a complete transformation. Hey boss. Pedro, one of the new delivery drivers, peeks his head into the room. Can I have a minute? Sure, come in. I reply, noticing his nervousness. What's up? Well, I saw that you started as a driver too. How did you get here? I smile, remembering when I used to ask the same questions. Sit here, I say, opening my notebook. I'll tell you a secret, it wasn't just about making money. It was about changing who I was inside. I show him my old notes, the daily goals, the small progress. But this is just a notebook with repeated words. He observes, confused. No, Pedro. It's a daily commitment to who you want to become. Every word written here changed my way of thinking and acting. Sarah enters the room bringing coffee for us. Now she handles the administrative side of the franchise. Are you telling your story again? She smiles, placing the cups on the table. He needs to hear it. I reply, turning to Pedro. Do you know what my biggest discovery was? That manifestation isn't magic, it's a process of aligning your thoughts, your actions, and your goals. But it must have been hard at first. Pedro comments. It was. There were days I wanted to give up. But every little victory showed me I was on the right path. It wasn't about having money, it was about becoming someone who deserved abundance. Sarah picks up the notebook and reads one of the last entries. I am grateful for being able to help others grow. This, she points, is your true manifestation. I nod in agreement. Today, I no longer worry about money. It comes naturally when you focus on creating value for others. Pedro looks at his own hands, thoughtful. Can I borrow a piece of paper? I tear a sheet from the notebook and hand it to him along with a pen. Start with something simple, I suggest. Something you truly believe is possible. As he writes his first affirmations, I watch the movement outside the window. I see delivery people coming and going, people living their lives, each with their dreams and struggles. You know, Pedro, I finally say, true wealth isn't in your bank account. It's in your ability to turn thoughts into reality. And as I watch him begin his own manifestation story, I feel a deep gratitude. Not just for the financial success, but for the person I became in the process. Because in the end, the greatest manifestation wasn't money, it was discovering that I always had the power within me to change my reality. If this story inspired you, leave your like and share it with someone who needs motivation. Comment here, what was your biggest lesson from this journey? We love hearing from you. And don't forget to subscribe to the channel and turn on the notifications to receive more transformative stories like this. Your participation is essential for us to continue bringing content that makes a difference. See you in the next video.